Iran claims it hit the most secretive bunker in Israel. Not a military base on the outskirts, not a radar installation in the desert, a command facility buried directly beneath military headquarters in the heart of central Tel Aviv. The exact place where Netanyahu and Israel's entire war cabinet would be taken if this conflict reached its most dangerous moment. Israel's response was immediate. Seal the area, block every camera, refuse all comment, no press conference, no denial, no confirmation. Just silence and concrete barriers where journalists used to stand. That bunker is real. It was built with American money, designed by American engineers, and hardened with enough electromagnetic shielding to keep Israel's entire command structure operational after everything above ground has been destroyed. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly what happened, why the evidence points in a direction Israel cannot publicly acknowledge, and why the censored satellite imagery over Tel Aviv right now tells a story more revealing than anything either government has said out loud. We are now past day 10 of this war, and the numbers are staggering. Over 500 ballistic and cruise missiles, more than 2,000 drones, launched in waves, arriving in patterns. And the IRGC has not been hiding its target list. They published it. 27 American bases across the region. Ben Gurion International Airport. 7 radar systems they claim are now permanently offline. But the target that matters most to understanding this entire conflict is not on any public list. It sits beneath the center of Tel Aviv, and most people have no idea it exists. When people picture Israel's military headquarters, they imagine a reinforced compound, maybe some hardened shelters underneath, standard military infrastructure. The reality is something completely different. Beneath the Hakiria compound in central Tel Aviv sits a layered network of underground command bunkers that Israel has been constructing, expanding, and deepening for decades. 2 specific installations define what is actually down there. The first is designated Site 81, a roughly 6,000 square meter electromagnetically shielded intelligence center buried beneath the city. This facility was not built to survive a conventional attack. It was built to survive electronic warfare, to maintain encrypted communications, to keep Israel's intelligence apparatus functioning even if every above-ground structure in the surrounding area has been leveled. The second installation is called the Fortress of Zion, a newer, deeper command post constructed directly beneath military headquarters. The New York Times was granted access to this facility and described what they found as a nerve center where roughly 70 personnel sat across multiple levels facing wall-mounted screens, tracking live strike data in real time. During active conflict, thousands of soldiers rotate through that facility around the clock. It does not sleep. It does not go dark. It was designed specifically so that it cannot. This is what Iranian missiles have been targeting. This is what the IRGC means when it references underground command infrastructure in Tel Aviv, and this is why the claim made after day 10 of this war deserves more than a dismissal. But before we get to what Iran is claiming now, you need to understand what already happened once before, because there is a precedent here that most coverage has completely ignored. During the 12-day war between Iran and Israel in June 2025, Iranian ballistic missiles struck the north tower of the Vinci apartment complex in central Tel Aviv. The moment that missile hit, the Israeli government moved fast. The entire impact zone was sealed within hours. No cameras were permitted, no press access, no official statement about what exactly had been hit or how close it had come to what. The Jerusalem Post later reported that the missile had landed what they described as a stone's throw from Netanyahu's office, which at that time was located in Building 22 of the same compound. Weeks after that war ended, the Prime Minister's office began what was publicly described as renovations. The building has never been independently inspected since that strike. No journalist has been allowed inside. No satellite imagery of that specific section of Tel Aviv has been made publicly available in unaltered form. Because to this day, Google Maps blurs the satellite imagery directly over that area. Russia's Yandex Maps does the same thing, censoring both imagery and location data for the Da Vinci complex. France 24 conducted an independent analysis and concluded that Israeli media coverage of that strike had been deliberately delayed. Haaretz, one of Israel's most prominent newspapers, waited a full 2 weeks before publishing anything about the hit, even though photographs had already been circulating online internationally. Think about what that pattern tells you. Iran targeted this exact area. The damage was sealed immediately. The media was physically blocked. The satellite data is still being censored months later. And now, in March 2026, the IRGC is claiming they hit the same zone again with even larger weapons. Now let's talk about what has actually been raining down on central Israel over the past 10 days. Because the scale of this needs to land properly, Day 1 alone saw approximately 90 ballistic missiles fired at Israeli territory. Day 2 saw around 60. After that, the daily volleys dropped to roughly 20 per day. But here's what that pattern actually means. The individual salvos got smaller. The weapons themselves got bigger and more destructive. By March 5th, Iranian military sources confirmed the country had launched more than 500 ballistic and cruise missiles combined with over 2,000 drones. 40% of that firepower was directed at Israel. The remaining 60% was aimed at American military positions spread across the broader region. On March 1st, the deadliest single strike of the entire war hit Beit Shemesh. A missile carrying roughly 500 kilograms of explosives collapsed an underground civilian bomb shelter accessible by 2 flights of stairs. 9 people were killed inside a structure that was built specifically to protect them. Investigators later concluded that even a fully compliant shelter built to code would not have survived a direct hit from a weapon carrying that payload. The interceptor fired at that missile missed. There was no mechanical failure detected. The system engaged correctly. It tracked. It fired. It just did not connect. That single detail collapses the official narrative around air defense effectiveness faster than any statistic. The White House has publicly claimed that Iranian ballistic missile strikes dropped by 90% between day 1 and day 6, crediting American and Israeli operations against Iranian mobile launchers inside Iran itself. But even accepting that claim at full face value, missiles are still breaking through. As of March 8th, 4 confirmed major impacts have struck Israeli soil: Tel Aviv, Beit Shemesh, Beersheba, Central Israel. More than 1,600 Israelis have been hospitalized since the opening strikes. 10 civilians confirmed dead. 87 people still in hospital beds. 4 in critical condition right now. The weapon changing every calculation in this conflict is called the Khorramshahr 4. This is the most destructive confirmed weapon currently deployed in Iran's ballistic inventory. It travels roughly 2,000 kilometers. It carries a warhead of approximately 1,500 kilograms. And at around 7 kilometers altitude, before any interceptor can effectively engage the payload, it opens and releases roughly 20 individual submunitions, each one carrying its own explosive charge, scattering across a dispersal zone measured in hundreds of meters. That transformation from single warhead to area saturation weapon is what makes this missile categorically different from anything used in previous conflicts with Iran. A conventional warhead requires a direct hit to threaten a buried facility. You need the weapon to travel all the way down to the depth of what you are targeting. A cluster warhead does something entirely different. It turns the entire surface above that buried facility into a kill zone. Ventilation shafts, communications arrays, emergency access points, power conduits. Every system that keeps an underground command bunker operational and connected to the world above it becomes a target simultaneously. If those submunitions are landing within the Hakiria footprint in central Tel Aviv, the question has fundamentally changed. It is no longer whether Iranian weapons reached the neighborhood, it is whether the depth was enough. Now here is the part that both governments are working very hard to keep out of the same sentence. While Iran is claiming to have struck Israel's underground command infrastructure, Israel already carried out the verified and publicly documented version of that exact operation against Iran. On March 6th, approximately 50 Israeli Air Force fighter jets dropped around 100 precision-guided bombs on the underground bunker of Ali Khamenei located beneath the leadership compound in central Tehran. The IDF announced total destruction of the facility. The bunker extended beneath multiple city streets. It contained meeting rooms, secure communication chambers, and command infrastructure used by Iran's most senior officials for decades. Israel released the footage. The strike was confirmed explicitly and publicly. Iran has released no equivalent footage of its claimed strike on Israeli underground infrastructure. No confirmation, no imagery, no independent verification. But here is the critical distinction that gets lost in how this story is being covered. The absence of proof is not the same as the absence of an event, not when the impact area was immediately sealed, not when the satellite imagery over that section of Tel Aviv is still being blurred right now, not when the identical location was struck in June 2025 and media was physically prevented from documenting the damage for 2 weeks. Both sides are running the same operation, hunting the other government's buried command architecture. One side released their footage and confirmed the result. The other sealed the evidence and said nothing. Draw your own conclusion about what that silence means. Here is where this war stands as of right now. Crude oil has crossed $150 a barrel. Shipping through the Strait of Hormuz is severely disrupted. Gulf state energy infrastructure has sustained damage. More than 1,300 Iranian civilians are confirmed dead, including 194 children, according to the human rights activist news agency. 7 American service members have been killed across the Middle East. The United States has sunk more than 30 Iranian naval vessels and declared Iran's Navy combat ineffective. Hezbollah has opened fire from Lebanon. Iraqi resistance groups have launched their own coordinated drone and missile strikes. And on March 8, 2026, Iran installed Mojtaba Khamenei, the dead supreme leader's own son, as the new supreme leader of the Islamic Republic. The IRGC pledged allegiance immediately. Iran's entire senior military and political leadership followed within hours. That is not a footnote at the bottom of a war update. That is the single most consequential variable in determining where this conflict goes next. Iran just handed wartime command of a nuclear threshold state to a man who has never held elected office, never commanded a military unit, never navigated an international crisis. He inherits a war his father did not initiate, a ballistic missile stockpile that has already been significantly depleted, and a military apparatus absorbing sustained American and Israeli bombardment simultaneously. Israeli intelligence estimates suggest more than 3,000 Iranian military personnel have been killed since the opening strikes of this conflict. Whether Mujtaba Khamenei can maintain targeting discipline, preserve logistical coherence, and project strategic authority under that kind of pressure is the open question that every defense ministry and intelligence agency on Earth is tracking in real time right now. Sealed streets in Tel Aviv, censored satellite maps that have not been updated in months, media blackouts applied twice now to the same impact zone. A second consecutive war with Iranian weapons landing inside the footprint of the most classified command facility in the country. And a new untested supreme leader who woke up this week holding the codes to a military already at war with two of the most capable armed forces on Earth. Neither side has defined what the end of this war looks like. Neither government can publicly verify what the other is hiding beneath the rubble of their respective capitals. And with Mujtaba Khamenei now in command, the question facing every analyst, every diplomat, and every government watching this unfold is no longer whether this conflict escalates beyond its current boundaries. It is whether anyone left in either capital has thought through what comes after it does. Drop a comment below. Who do you think is winning this war right now? And do you think this stays contained or does it spiral into something larger? Subscribe and hit the notification bell. This situation is moving faster than any news cycle can keep up with, and I will have the next update as soon as it breaks.